Prince Ram said, "Now tell me, sir, how can an ignorant man acquire salvation, the one who is lazy and addicted to baseness and has never associated with the yogis nor received spiritual instructions?" Vasishta replied, "O Ram, the ignorant man who has never attained to any of the states of yoga is carried by the current of reincarnation to rove in hundreds of births until he happens to have a spiritual light in one birth or another. Or it may be that he becomes dissatisfied with the world by his association with holy men, and that is the ground of one of the stages of yoga. O Ramji, destroy sensuality. This is the first stage. What is the good of using many words when it can be described in few? Our desire is our strongest bondage, and its want our complete liberation. He who has a strong sense of egoism is never released from the miseries of life. It is the negation of this sensation that produces our liberation. Those who are addicted to enjoyments consider the bliss of nirvana as nothing. They give preference to worldliness above the final bliss of others. And he that acts his part in this sense is styled an active and energetic man. Such a man of the world bears resemblance to a tortoise, which though it has its neck withdrawn into the shell, still sometimes stretches it out to drink the salt water of the sea it inhabits, until after many births he gets a better life for his salvation. But he who reflects on the nothingness of the world and the misery of his situation in it does not allow himself to be carried away by the current of his old duties here, day after day. When a man begins to think how he shall become passionless and get over the boisterous ocean of the world, he has come to his good and right sense. He who condemns the foolish amusements and the mean work of men, who employs himself in meritorious acts instead of dwelling upon the faults and failings of others, he whose mind is engaged in useful deeds, causing no pain to others, and is indifferent to all pleasures and bodily enjoyments, whose discourses are love and tenderness, whose speeches are suitable to the time and place in which they are delivered. Such a man is said to stand on the first step of yoga. He makes it his duty to seek the society of the good, whom he learns to imitate in thought, word and deed. He collects also books on divine learning and studies them with attention and diligence. He then considers their contents and lays hold on the tenets which serve to save him from the sinful world. Such a man is said to have come upon the first stage of the yoga. He then comes to the second step of yoga, which is called the stage of inquiry. He hears from the lips of the traditionally chosen pundits the explanations of the shorties and smritis, the rules of good conduct and the manner of meditation and yoga practice. He throws off his outer habit of pride and vanity, his jealousy and avarice, as a snake casts off his slough. Having thus purified his mind, he attends affectionately to the service of his spiritual preceptors and holy persons, and hears from them the mysteries of the philosophy of yoga. He then enters on the third stage. He learns to fix his mind in steadiness according to the teachings of the yoga, and passes his time in talking on spiritual subjects and doing good to others. The wise man, who has arrived at the third stage of yoga, remains in that state of consciousness which is free from both the objectivity and subjectivity. He is free from the sense of being either the subject or the object of his actions. He knows all union is for disunion, and earthly gain is for its loss. With these habits joined with constant practice of meditation and virtue, one assuredly arrives at the certain knowledge of the Godhead within oneself as clearly as one sees a plate set in one's hand. The knowledge of the Supreme Author of creation impresses one with the belief that it is not I, but the Divine that does everything in the world. Having renounced his self-agency, such a man is unconnected with anything in the world. Contentment is as sweet fragrance in the mind, and virtuous acts are as beautiful as the petals of a rose. The flower of inward discrimination is expanded like the lotus bud by the sunbeams of reason, and produces the fruit of holiness in the garden of the third stage of yoga practice. The performance of a part only of some of the stages of this holy Adhyatma yoga is enough for remission of the past evil karma. These three stages, O Ramji, are designated the waking state, because the yogi retains in them the perception of the difference of things. Such a yogi becomes venerable. He is employed only in righteous deeds. He is steadfast in the discharge of his social duties. He who devotes his mind to yoga with undivided attention from first to last and sees all things in one even light is said to have arrived at the fourth stage of the holy yoga. As the error of duality disappears from sight and the knowledge of inner unity shines supremely bright, the yogi is in the fourth stage of the yoga when he sees the world as a vision in his dream. The fifth stage is a stage of great joy, nothing but joy of the vision of the Divine, right and left, O Ramji. The yogi overcomes this, and descending through his mind into the lower regions, a great sacrifice indeed, he serves his own self in others. The sixth is the stage of living liberation, O Ramji, in which both unity and duality disappear. He is full within and without of divine ecstasy and possessed of higher powers. Yet he appears as worthless on the outside. The seventh stage is unapproachable by words and extends beyond the limit of this earth or heaven. It is said to resemble the state of Shiva and Brahman.